Hey, hey, hey. Happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the Grand Poobah. Yes, I am the founder and editor-in-chief of The Gaming Gang. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Monday, May 18th, 2020. This is episode 487 of The Daily Dope. If this is the first time you've tuned in, let me just point out this is very, very casual. This is certainly not anything along the lines of rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Just kind of hang out talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. Every once in a while, we'll talk maybe a little bit about PC games or pop culture. But for the most part, we are looking at the world of board games and card games and role-playing games and so on and so forth. Do want to mention, though, if you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. If you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that little notification bell, because it'll tell you when I upload new videos, as well as remind you when the stream goes live. Because this is a live stream, that also means that there is chat available on YouTube. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you'd like to say howdy, or maybe you've got a question or a comment, by all means, please chime in. I will do my best to respond. Of course, do also want to point out when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news and reviews and more. So we've got the Madman and A Gray Day are hanging out in chat so far. A Gray Day, you are not one of the unusual commenters, so don't worry about that. Don't have to unleash the madman to boot you out of chat. So welcome aboard, everybody. I did not have a show last Thursday for a multitude of reasons. Number one, it was just the weather's been horrible in the Chicago area. We've got flooding all over the place. In fact, I tried to start my traveler campaign last night, or I should say yesterday afternoon, with my best friend Elliot Miller, his son Brian, my nephew Cameron, and his girlfriend Lexi. And we had a sump pump just going non-stop, and it was pretty loud, so we didn't even get that going. We didn't even do that. So, but Thursday night, we lost internet for about 3 hours. Of course, it took place about 2 hours before I was going to start the stream. So, and then of course this weekend I was working on some new things. So as you can see, I do have a new lens for my Panasonic G85. So things look probably a little bit different. So I also have a new lens for the overhead camera as well, which you won't see that tonight, but I am pretty much done as far as working on the visual aspect, the visual quality of my videos as well as the stream, and it's about as good as it's going to get. So I'm playing around with some new lenses, and they are actually manual lenses. So there is no autofocus or anything like that. So if I take my hand, it's going to be out of focus. The camera is not going to focus on it. It is set at a specific focus point, which is kind of cool, especially when we're talking about the Panasonic G85, because its autofocus isn't the greatest around. But next, I've been working on the audio. So this is the mic I have had for a long time. This is a Audio Technica 2020, and I've had this for about 5-6 years. In fact, when I got this was a $300 microphone. Now it's like a $100 microphone. But I had a new preamp show up. I busted that out. That's what I spent most of the weekend working on. And I went right back to Amazon because I had a horrible buzz, a horrible hum in the audio. I know there's a little bit of a hum with the preamp I have now, which is also something I've had for about 6 years. So that does happen. That's why I tried to get a new one, a different one. So I have bit the bullet, and I actually have a rack showing up tomorrow. So I will be playing around with that for tomorrow's show as well. So I do want to mention, because the microphone is closer up, the audio should be a little bit different. Still not going to be great because I have to do some processing to get rid of the hum that's in this. So things will change probably tomorrow. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I will receive the new audio equipment tomorrow early enough so I can get it set up. I know what I have to do. It's not, once again, it's not rocket surgery to do that either. But I just, I'm hoping, because, doing my best. But then again, I figured, okay, so I bring the mic in, because the mic usually hangs off, just off to the side, right? And the microphone is a condenser mic, so it's actually designed for me to be much closer to it, within no more than 6 inches, which is usually, I'm further than that away from it. So I tend to lose some of the depth of my voice as I have to cough when the microphone's further away. So now that the microphone's closer in, it will probably sound a bit better, even with this older equipment that I've got right now. So we've got Rob German has popped into chat. Glenn Darren is in chat. We haven't seen Glenn in a while. Good to catch you. Yes. Hopefully everyone out there is also staying very safe and healthy. So thank you, Glenn. We're doing okay here. We are still supposed to be sheltering in place here in Illinois. So I go out maybe every 3 days or so. That's about it. Go get some groceries and that, but So Glenn says the feed looks great. Audio and video are both great, says Rob. Audio is going to get better. It's going to sound a little more like you're used to hearing. I almost said seeing. Should be closer to what you're used to hearing with most YouTube videos, where it's just, mainly talking heads. So let me grab a sip here. And we will move into the news. I don't know why I've got kind of a tickle in my throat suddenly. Well, I do know why. Because it's always dusty down here in the duct tape studio. So anyway, first item that broke earlier today, Spiel has been canceled. International Spieltage is the official term for the Spiel game show in Essen, Germany. It was supposed to be taking place I want to say it was the 22nd to the 25th, because it actually fell on my birthday. And I was really, really kicking around maybe trying to go this year. Whereas, because I can get press pass. That is not an issue. It's, it's the jack to get over there, kids. It ain't cheap to go over to Germany. Plus, I would probably be going by myself. That'd be kind of weird. Jorge Rodriguez is in chat. Good to see Jorge. It's been a while since Jorge had popped in. So we got a good chat cooking so far tonight. So, yes, Spiel has been canceled. Spiel has been canceled. Still no word on Gen Con yet. I don't know. Because it's in Indiana. Just like with Origins, supposed to take place in October in Columbus, Ohio. Those two states are a little politically different than other states. So they are really pushing to reopen. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I will say, if Gen Con takes place and Origins takes place, I may not go to either one. I really am leaning towards not going. once again, because I would no doubt be going by myself, and because I'm sure Elliot Miller is not going to go with. He's not going to risk it. So, and I don't know if some of my friends in and outside the industry are going to attend either. So, I don't know. I have no idea. So Jorge is asking if Madman is a mod now. Yes. Madman is one of the moderators. So is Flaming Huron, who we have not seen today. I think Flaming Huron's not getting an opportunity to catch the show live as often as before. But I do know Flaming Huron is over in Europe. So it's early morning there. It's, a little after 7 o'clock in the evening here in the Chicago area. Whereas I do know that where Flaming Huron is, it's I think it's like 2 or 3, something like that. So Glenn mentions they'd have to at least limit capacity heavily at Gen Con. Don't I think? I do. I honestly do. See, this is where we fall into, and this is not just regarding Gen Con. If you look at it, think of some of the restaurants that are out there as well. Some of these restaurants would actually be better served to stay closed as opposed to opening up and being only at reduced capacity. So I know most of the states that restaurants are reopening, they are pretty much no more than half. I think that's the maximum I've heard of is half. I've heard some 25% capacity. And to me, I would think, well, I think you would lose money with a restaurant running at 25% capacity, and that's your maximum. Plus, keep in mind, not everybody wants to go out to restaurants right now, so I don't know. Rob says, I think they should have Gen Con at McCormick Place. Man, I'm right with you on that. I would love that. Would love that, because McCormick Place is actually bigger than the Indianapolis Convention Center. Although I do like to go to Gen Con in Indy. I lived in Indiana for a couple of years, not too long ago, just outside South Bend. So, I don't know. I honestly would like to see a big game convention take place here in Chicago. I'll tell you that much. I think we do have room for that to take place. And I mean, not just room physically, I mean room as far as there are plenty of openings on our schedules where we could see a cool gaming convention. I'm kind of curious. When my friend Julie Ahern from Greenbrier Games was living here in Chicago, I had kind of thought of maybe approaching her to see brainstorm with her, even if we started something off as just kind of a game day or, a couple of days over a weekend, Saturday, Sunday. I think that'd be pretty wild. So Madman says still no word on Dragon Con, although and the Madman had pointed this out before, he's not planning on going. Ooh, see, the COVID numbers were found to be fudged to look okay to open up. Well, yeah, we're going to stay away from politics, right? Because every time I say anything political, and I don't even go off on a rant, people tend to get a little spicy. Get a little, Yeah, anyway. So no spiel. But they have rescheduled. The next spiel will be October, I think it was the 17th through the 21st. It's in the news piece. I put the news piece up earlier today because that information, that news broke early this morning, so I wanted to get that out as fast as I could. So, without further ado, let's jump on into the news because I got a nice mix of news today. And so Rob says Valor Con was a thing in Chicago. Yeah, maybe I wasn't here for that. Maybe that's during my years in Arizona. Huh. I don't know. Just like Phoenix. Strangely enough, Phoenix can't get a game convention going. They tried that, and most of the game stores out there were against it. I was like, give me a break. One weekend of the year, you don't have people gaming in your store. But I have to say that the whole gaming community out in the Phoenix area is bizarre and fractured. And once again, that's something that people got pissed off at me when I talked about that before when I lived out there. Anyway, so Days of Wonder has revealed a partnership with Blizzard. Yes, with Blizzard. And they have announced Small World of Warcraft. Here's the dope. In Small World of Warcraft, players vie for conquest and control of a world that is simply too small to accommodate everybody. Small World of Warcraft is set on the fantasy world of Azeroth, where the races of the Alliance and the Horde, including orcs, dwarves, trolls, and Worgen, clash in a world-consuming conflict. In the game, players choose combinations of special powers and races from the Warcraft universe, such as Portal Mage Pendarins or Herbalist Goblins, and vie for control of Azeroth. To help them achieve dominance, players will occupy legendary terrains and seek control of powerful artifacts. However, all empires must eventually fall. Yeah, that's true. I think we might be in the midst of the American Empire falling. Moving right along. So players need to be ready to put an overextended race into a state of decline and lead a new one to rule Azeroth. In more detail, on each turn, either you use the multiple tiles of your chosen fantasy race to normally occupy adjacent territories, possibly defeating weaker enemy races along the way, or you give up on your race and let it go into decline. A race in decline is designated by flipping the tiles over to their black and white side. At the start of the game, or after you go into decline, you choose a new race/power combination at the start of your turn, with the 16 races and 20 powers being paired randomly each game. At the end of your turn, you score 1 coin for each territory your races occupy. You may have 1 active race and 1 race in decline on the board at the same time. Your occupation total can vary depending on the special abilities of your race and the territories they occupy. After the final round, the player with the most coins wins. Small World of Warcraft is going to be for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up. It'll play in around an hour, and it's going to carry an MSRP of $59.99 when it arrives this summer. I do not have an exact release date for this as of yet. I thought this was kind of interesting. So I like Small World. I think people went a little crazier for it when it first came out than I think the game deserves. I think it's fun. I think it's a good time. I've enjoyed it. I reviewed it way back when, and like I said, I like it. But for people, I know there are people out there who consider it to be a war game, and it's like, what? In fact, if I remember correctly, I think Small World won, maybe it was the Origins Award for Best War Game, and it was like, what? It was like, are you kidding me? It's like, who the hell? What? Anyway, but this could be cool. This could be fun. This is one way of looking at it is you can use Small World or possibly Small World of Warcraft kind of as a gateway to introduce people to heavier conflict simulations and things like that. So Glenn Darren's pointing out that Gen Con 2021, the 14th through the 17th, isn't that, maybe those were the dates for, I could have swore those were the dates for Spiel. So A Gray Day is pointing out that Little Wars is canceled as well. The Madman says, yeah, I'm not getting into politics. Stories reported by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. I didn't mean the Madman's getting into politics. I meant me. I'm like, I try to keep my political views, kind of quiet. So anyway, so A Gray Day says, I was hoping for a Tiny Battle Warcraft. We do have an announcement for Tiny Battle Pirates. I will have that news tomorrow. Michael Coe made that announcement. That's their next Tiny Epic Games, is Tiny Epic Pirates. So I'm going to try to see about maybe doing an interview with Michael. I haven't talked to Michael since last Origins, and he's sending me the last 2 Tiny Epic Games, Mechs and Tactics. So that's pretty cool. So Glenn says that this looks like one of the few games that he might be able to get his wife to play. She likes Small World, and she's addicted to WoW. Hey, that's not shocking. That is not surprising. I tried World of Warcraft. It was too grindy. Now I like Neverwinter, the Dungeons and Dragons massively multiplayer online RPG. But World of Warcraft, I don't know, just didn't get into it. And I see that Dan from No Enemies Here has arrived. Nice, very nice. Yes, and Glenn does point out those dates are for Spiel. Because I was going to say, whoa, Gen Con for next year, they're pushing it way back. Anyway, no, that's okay. Hey, that's quite all right. So yes, it's the 14th through the 17th. Thank you for providing those dates. It's on the news piece that I put up. It just wasn't something I sat there and studied. Moving right along. This August is going to bring an eco-friendly trick-taking card game from Inside Up Games. It's a company I'm not familiar with, but I've got the dope on Sea Change. The deck contains 80 sea cards in 5 suits. The 5 suits are represented by different colors and icons. Each suit has 1 card of each value. Higher card beats a lower card of the same suit, from 15 to 0. Depending on the number of players, a set number of cards from a set number of suits will be shuffled together. Players can decide in advance to play as teams or each player for themselves. Each player will be dealt 10 cards to create their hand. In a clockwise manner, each player will contribute 1 card chosen from their hand to create a trick. In each trick, 1 suit will be stronger than others. This is kind of just giving us the information about what is a trick-taking game. That's okay. Any card in this trump suit beats all cards not in the trump suit. A sea change will change the trump suit in the middle of a trick when a player matches the value of the last card played. Like a little Uno-ish there, huh? Players attempt to win tricks containing cards with positive points and avoid cards with negative points. During tricks, zeros are not worth any points. At the end of the round, check which suit is trump. The 0 from that suit, and only that suit, is now worth 5 points. All other zeros are not worth any points. The player with the highest score at the end of the round will earn a victory point. Bing, bing, bing. Game ends when 1 player has earned 3 victory points. Sea Change is for 1 to 8 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 20 to 40 minutes, and will carry an MSRP of $14 when it hits this summer, this August, actually. I don't have an exact date. I wanted to share this because I think the artwork's pretty nice. I think the artwork is pretty cool on this. I know a lot of people out there, they dig trick-taking games. I just played The Crew. I enjoyed that. Didn't enjoy it so much where people are making it like their game of the year already. No. But I did think that was pretty interesting. I liked it. But I like the artwork on this. I thought, and this is a little company. This is not a big company out there, and I think they're from Canada, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure they're Canadian. So I thought I'd share the news. Also, do want to mention the Epic Game Store free game of the week through it's like through the very early hours of Thursday. It's actually Grand Theft Auto 5 from Rockstar Games. And you know what? I know the game is 5 years old, something like that. But it's still very popular. In fact, I think last year it sold more copies than it ever had before. Or it made more money than ever before. So if you have any interest in scoring Grand Theft Auto 5 for PC, you can get it for free. And it is the premium edition. It is not some kind of pared down release or anything like that. In fact, I thought it was funny. So many people were hitting the Epic Game Store last Thursday morning that it crashed. And it crashed hard. And if it crashed so hard, eventually, instead of getting a 520 timeout, it was a 403 forbidden error coming up. So it's like, wow. Boy, Epic Games got rocked by that. But still, very, very cool. So Greday's asking if I've tried the Traveler card game. I have not. I did play Imperial Warrant, which is from my buddy Terry Coleman, and I enjoyed that. It's very, I hate to use the word fiddly, but if I say fiddly, gamers tend to know what I mean. It's got a lot of little rules and things like that. It's not the most intuitive game out there, but I did enjoy it. In fact, I reviewed it. I don't think it was printed in a lot of copies. So I don't think it's even still available anymore. I think it's probably sold out. But no, I did not try the Traveler card game. I remember when it was kickstarted, but no, I have not had a chance to play it. So Glenn says if you're into GTA, it's one of the better titles in the series. I liked it. I never finished it. So I was I had it on my PlayStation 4, which is now my nephew Cameron's PlayStation. But I was like, it's funny. I don't think I finished the first 2 Grand Theft Autos. First 3, actually, because the first one is kind of a top-down sort of game, completely unlike the other ones. But I got a kick out of the Grand Theft Auto. I want to say I think it's 2. I think it's Grand Theft Auto 2 that had all the big name like stars in it, like Ray Liotta did the voice for the main character in that. So yeah, I get a kick out of GTA. And it's funny because I don't really like playing bad guys usually, but GTA is usually fairly interesting. I don't go like insane like that. I don't sit there and like get a sniper rifle and start popping people off rooftops and stuff. No, I don't do that. But yeah, I kind of get it. So Dan from No Enemies here is like, no, anything but fiddly. I know that's a weird word to use, but when I use it, people know what I like. Wonky. Wonky is another word that really doesn't mean anything, but strangely enough, I think gamers understand what wonky means when somebody says, oh yeah, these rules are kind of wonky. All right, let's get back to the tabletop gaming news because the latest free Dungeons & Dragons download from Wizards of the Coast is available. Of course, this is from last week. Tonight's is probably coming out in about a half hour. But I've got the dope on beneath the fetid Trilemma. I'm taking a guess that's how it's pronounced. The ruined wizard tower in the Marsh of Trilemma may hold a clue. Ah, wait a second. Hey, look, there's GTA. I was gonna do a GTA news piece, and then I was like, nah, I don't need to do that. All right. So I had replaced it with the D&D story. That's kind of funny. Dan says the mic sounds great. It should sound better when I get the new equipment, when I get the rack, and I also got an audio interface, which is weird. It's kind of like, if I'm buying a rack, wouldn't that be the audio interface? But I guess it's not. Anyway, the ruined wizard tower in the Marsh of Trilemma may hold a clue to defeating the super intelligent hill giant Bad Fool. Well, if Bad Fool is so intelligent, what do you think he'd have a better name? Yes, I am the super intelligent hill giant. You can call me Bad Fool. Anyway, this tower should hold the secret to defeating the hill giant and preventing him from troubling the town of Parnist. To find the tower, adventurers must overcome the watery magic of the fetid marsh and discover or clear a route to the ruins of a previously lost tower. It's a 2-hour adventure for 1st through 4th level characters. The 20-page PDF is absolutely free to download from Dungeon Masters Guild through May 22nd. So here's something kind of odd. So Glenn says, hey, I'd love to see a GTA D&D mashup. I'd pay top dollar for that. That would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it? Kind of like a first, well, okay, so if you think about it, so you got a first person I don't know how many people out there remember Ultima Underworld, because there were two. There was 1 and 2. So you do a first person, and then that'd be kind of cool. That'd be pretty wild. I'd love. Well, you figure, come on, they do Red Dead Redemption. They've got Grand Theft Auto. You've got other companies who do these open game world systems and stuff like that. I would think you could do some sort of a fantasy game like that. I mean, and actually, I'm not talking like Skyrim. I'm talking about like just really, really detailed in that. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be very, very cool. But anyway, I was going to say with this adventure, which is of course part of the Adventurers League, which if game stores were open, people would be enjoying these. Well, not these adventures. These have been out for a while, but that is actually the kind of like in-store gaming for D&D. I have to laugh, though. You figure it's a 2-hour adventure, and it's 20 pages. I should talk about this one day. Maybe do a separate video and kind of discuss how things have really, really changed as far as role-playing games. Because role-playing games, if you got back in the first edition D&D days, if you picked up a module, that's what we used to call the adventures, they were modules. If you picked up a module and it was 32 pages, it was like, wow, man, this is jam-packed. Those 32 pages would give you weeks of adventures. Now, everybody has this like wannabe novelist syndrome that a 2-hour adventure is going to be 20 pages. And I'm sure there's some maps and stuff. I get it, but yeah, kind of weird. But hey, it's cool. I really love the fact Wizards of the Coast every single weekday is coming up with something to give away for free. I think that is very, very nice. I think that is excellent. On a side note, it's not necessarily Wizards of the Coast. It's Hasbro related, because the game I do believe is coming out through Avalon Hill. The Scooby-Doo, the Betrayal, I think it's Scooby-Doo at Mystery Mansion or something like that. So it's kind of like Scooby-Doo meets Betrayal at House on the Hill. So that's going to be arriving for review in June. My PR rep that I talk with all the time, who handles Wizards of the Coast and a lot of Hasbro stuff, who had mentioned that it's going to be sent along. I thought that was kind of funny. Okay, on to another role-playing news piece. The newest bundle of holding has arrived. There's actually 2, but I'm going to tackle the first, and it is the Champions 4E Essentials Bundle from Hero Games. It's back. From April 2017, this revived Champions 4E Essentials offer, first of 2 revivals now in progress, brings you nearly 30 all-new tabletop role-playing PDFs, rulebooks, supplements, and adventures from the nigh legendary 4th edition of Champions, the super role-playing game from Hero Games. Starting in 1989 with the Giant Champions 4E Core Rulebook, otherwise known as the Big Blue Book, which has nothing to do with UFOs. That's a different blue book. Dozens of 4th edition titles defined and developed the superhero setting later seen in the 2009 Champions Online MMORPG and in the 5th and 6th editions that have been offered in the past. These 2 offers, original April 2017 run, marked the debut of these lively and imaginative 4E books in PDF. If you missed them then, now you have a new chance to join the fight for justice. This revival's jaw-dropping core collection gives you over 1,900 pages of top-quality, super-heroic role-playing material, 13 PDFs with a retail value of $97.50 for just $14.95. The 354-page Big Blue Book itself and the Hero System Rules Book, plus classic enemies and organizations, Primus and Viper, Normals Unbound, and Allies, the Hero Bestiary or Bestiary. Somebody's giving me a hard time. It's Bestiary now. and more. With just these books, Champions Game Masters have run campaigns lasting decades. And that's just the start. If you pay more than the threshold price of $31.11, you'll level up and also get this offer's entire bonus collection with 15 more titles worth an additional $105, including Dark Champions, Heroes of Vengeance, Golden Age Champions, the 4E versions of Ultimate Martial Artist and Ultimate Mentalist, the Ultimate Super Mage and Super Mage Bestiary. I'll call it Bestiary there. Plus Mystic Masters. Challenges for Champions in both Champions Presents collections. And they didn't forget Champions New Millennium and its 2 supplements. That's already $202.50 total retail value. Yet this first revival presents less than half of the comprehensive 65-book Champions 4th edition lineup. Don't miss its bargain-priced companion, also from April 2017, the Champions 4E Universe, which is also in progress. That separate revival has 37 more supplements and adventures, including Champions in 3D, Kingdom of Champions, Day of the Destroyer, 5 more Enemies books, 9 Dark Champions supplements, the San Angelo line from Gold Rush Games, and much more. Together, these 2 collections give you the entire Champions 4th edition line. All told, I forget exactly how much the other bundle of holding is. I think it's around $32. You're looking at getting everything from 4th edition Champions for about $64. It's crazy. And yes, it is true. 4th edition Champions is a pretty legendary game system. I believe 5th and 6th editions kind of crunched it up a little bit, even though the Heroes system is kind of crunchy in the first place. But I do want to point out these savings will run through June 1st, and 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to the Champions Offers pandemic-related charity, Heart to Heart International. Heart to Heart is delivering medical equipment to healthcare workers on the front lines during the COVID-19 pandemic. Very cool bundle of holding. So the Madman says, yes, the original release date for the Scooby game passed. Yes, because it was supposed to be out. It was supposed to be out. A grade A, no. The Scooby game we're talking about is from Avalon Hill, not from CMON. I know nothing about the Scooby-Doo game from Cool Mini or not. But the Madman's pointing out, I think the new release date isn't until later in July. I believe that is correct. They are going to get this out to me a lot sooner than usual. Because lately, now this is before the pandemic, lately it was like there were a couple of D&D releases that I got. Well, one was like the day before release date, and the other was on release date, which was very unusual because normally it's about a week to 2 weeks beforehand that those books are in my hands and ready to be shared with the viewers like yourselves. It's, yes, Scooby-Doo Betrayal at Mystery Mansion. I don't know. The Betrayal games are sort of... they're okay. They're all right. They're silly. They're goofy. So, a Grade A says there was some news today for a Scooby-Doo game from CMON. I really don't dive too much into CMON because, I gotta be honest. I'll pop over here real quick. I see Cool Mini are not pulling tons and tons of money through their Kickstarters. And it's like the biggest hotness, and everybody's all like, oh my God, I gotta get Death May Not Die, or whatever, you know. Whatever it's called. The Cthulhu game. And everybody's like, they're all like, you know, just freaking out about how, they just gotta get their hands on this. And then when the games come out, I hear nothing about it. Of course, granted, it's like 2 years later that they come out. So, the hotness is like fizzled out on that. But I don't know. I mean, I'll be the first to point out, I have never played a Cool Mini or Not game. Just haven't. I have no idea. So a Great A's asking about Twilight news. Not familiar with what you might be discussing there. So I had to point out about half of this news is actually from last Thursday. This would have been on last Thursday's show. So I did want to still get these news pieces out. So I have not dived into, outside of seeing the cancellation of Spiel, I didn't dive too heavily into news today. And what'll happen too is if news breaks in the afternoon, I don't get it out. Simply because I already have my news, like little, slides and everything's all done. And I notice if I try to add stuff at the last minute, it gets all messed up. And that's not good. So let's talk about my last news piece, because we were speaking of bundles. There's a new bundle offer for Trilemma Adventures for 5th edition. I've got the dope. First, we have the Trilemma Adventures Compendium. This book brings together the award-winning Trilemma Adventures, 48 1- and 2-page adventure locations for fantasy role-playing games. Each location is written to be used separately, perfect for one-shot sessions, side quests, or to help populate your homegrown campaign setting. All have been lavishly illustrated and laid out to make them easy to run straight from the book. This book is packed with caverns, castles, underworld cities, labyrinths, mansions, flying tombs, hidden temples, and falling shrines. Also inside is more than 60 pages of new material, an illustrated bestiary. I think I'll just go back and forth on how I pronounce it. A Great A's talking about Twilight 2000. Oh yeah, that news is old, man. That news is old, baby. That news has been out. In fact, I covered it last week. I will have more to say about that in just a sec after I finish this up. There's also an appendix of magical items, 10 solid pages of hooks, rumors, and secret lore, 6 regional gazetteers tying the adventure locations into a ready-to-use campaign setting, a full-color regional map in Game Master and player versions, as well as a complete index and a bonus location set in the aftermath of the Kickstarter invasion scenario. This compendium is an essential part of your GM kit. The Adventure Compendium clocks in at 178 pages. Then we've got the Trilemma Bestiary. This book contains more than 100 monsters from the award-winning Trilemma Adventures series, with stats for the 5th edition of your favorite role-playing game. If your favorite role-playing game happens to be Dungeons & Dragons. Inside are beasts of the wood, alien aberrations, people of the underworld, celestial horrors, demonic incursions, ghostly remnants of ages past, and scores of other entries to surprise your players and enrich your campaign. Use them along with the compendium or in adventures of your own design. The bestiary clocks in at 180 pages. Currently, you can score both of these books together in PDF for $16.76 at Drive-Thru RPG. Very cool. Very nice. I think these look really nice. I want to say I shared a news piece about Trilemma Adventures before. Not the bestiary, just the Adventures supplement. But this looks pretty sweet. And for $16.76 for over 300 pages of usable material, and I love the maps. They look really, really nice. Granted, they are black and white ink. They're not, full color, but still, they look really, really sweet. Very, very nice. So that is it for the news. Do want to point out, of course, whenever I'm talking about Drive-Thru RPG, the Gaming Gang and thus the Daily Dope are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are planning on visiting, say, Dungeon Masters Guild or possibly Wargame Vault or Drive-Thru RPG, please visit thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banner ads, and that way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. So, and it all adds up. All really helps out. Normally pays for the hosting of the website every month. So, a great day mentions, they missed last week. What can I tell you? When you said Twilight, the first thing that popped in my head was, are we talking about the Stephanie Meyer's book series and series of movies? Because I thought she's got like a new Twilight book coming out. And I was like, man, I'm not covering that shit. That garbage. One of my favorite things. Yeah, whatever. I mean, and she's from Arizona. Whatever people like, that's fine. I mean, Twilight's just not my thing. It's ridiculous in my opinion. But the thing that I laughed the hardest at was when Stephen King had commented that don't compare Stephanie Meyer, I think it's Meyer, not Myers, with J.K. Rowling, because Harry Potter is literature and Twilight is just garbage. And people, I kid you not, people were going online on Twitter and saying, who's Stephen King? It was like, man, just why don't you just lay your ignorance right out there for everyone to wallow in? Who's Stephen King? Yeah. Well, people like to read garbage. That's fine. That's, hey, they're reading. I guess that's a bonus there, right? But I was going to mention on Wednesday, I am going to be interviewing Tomas from Free League Publishing. We will discuss Twilight 2000. We're going to discuss Twilight 2000. We're going to talk about the Alien role-playing game, as well as the Tales from the Loop starter set, which is on its way to me. So we're going to take a peek at that. I like Tales from the Loop. I like Tales from the Loop more as playing like very short campaigns, maybe 4 or 5 sessions, or even some one-shots. I can't imagine doing Tales from the Loop for a long period of time. Speaking of Tales from the Loop, I really do need to check out that Amazon show. I don't know if it's any good or not, but Jonathan Pryce is in it, and he's usually good. He's usually good and stuff. So we will talk about that. We will also try to, I will try to get a little bit of information out from him regarding the Lord of the Rings role-playing game that's going to be coming from them. I don't know if it's going to be called The One Ring or not. I forget if they announced if it was or not, although I do know that it is the same system as Cubicle 7 Entertainment's. And speaking of Cubicle 7 Entertainment, we should soon see some physical releases from them, including the first part of the Enemy Within campaign, the first hardcover book. So very, very cool. So Glenn asks, a bit off subject here, but have I heard anything about a continuation or at least a reprint of the End of the World series RPGs from Fantasy Flight? I know with the role-playing game and board game division split. I reviewed the first, which I think is like Zombie Apocalypse, and I didn't think much of it. I didn't think it was a very good role-playing game. So I bumped the mic with my chin. That said, I don't know anything. I to be honest, I don't think they sold well enough because isn't it a Spanish company that's taking over the publishing of Fantasy Flight Games role-playing game line? I think it is. And it was a company, it's sort of like, I hadn't even heard of them. No doubt they're part of the Asmodee network, the Borgs, right? The Borg system there. But I don't know. I got to be honest. I have no idea if they're going to reprint it or not. I would think that that's probably not a very difficult game to find on the secondary market. Now, I might be wrong. I could be completely wrong. I will mention I'm not necessarily the greatest source of information for Fantasy Flight games. One of the reasons is because it was just so difficult to get a review copy of anything from them. And that was back when Anton gosh, I can't remember his last name, was in charge of the PR and everything, and he was super nice, and he always wanted to do interviews and stuff like that. But actually getting a review copies of stuff was like pulling the teeth from teeth. Not just pulling teeth. I'm talking, I was like, I could probably have an easier time riding a bucking bronc in a rodeo than getting, a stream of Fantasy Flight Game review copies. Now, I don't have anything against them. And I understand these days, yeah, there are so many people out there covering this hobby that if everybody got review copies who wanted review copies, these companies wouldn't be in business. They'd be in business to provide review copies and have nothing left to sell. So, but so for the most part, and I mean, I've played Fantasy Flight Game stuff and I've had a good time, and I've reviewed a few, I think 3 games total. And I've always heard the Star Wars role-playing game is really good and very cool. But, FFG gets plenty of coverage from everybody else. And every once in a while, I will drop a news piece of something. I go, oh, hey, that's interesting. But yeah, I'm not a good source for Fantasy Flight Games news at all. So Grey Day says, having that thought is a damn shame. All the RPG stuff is now in Spain for Asmodee. That's what I thought. So since COVID, yeah, nothing's happening now. Yeah, there's not a lot of production going on. Some of that is loosening up a little bit in China, but I'm not hearing a lot through the grapevine of new production. I have heard of some items that were in the midst of production when everything got shut down. I have heard that being completed, but I haven't heard too much of anything new that's being put together. All right. Anyway, do want to mention this finally showed up. Showed up in on Saturday. So finally came in. But yeah, I've got some new stuff for us to peek at. The other thing, I can't wait until that boom shows up, because this is on the table here, and as you can see, just a little bit of movement bounces us around. It is in a shock mount though, so normally that helps, but it's just kind of weird because then I watch it kind of like, whereas when it's on the boom, it'll just be coming in on the boom. Although it's kind of funny, I ordered the boom on the 1st of May, and I will get it. I think it's scheduled for this Saturday to show up. Kind of weird. So Glenn says you can find the End of the World series relatively easily, but they're charging $50 to $75 for one book. Huh. That's awfully pricey. Why don't you pick up the PDFs? Aren't the PDFs available? Because I could have swore that's how I reviewed the first book, was in PDF. And I know a lot of people like to have physical books. I do too. I enjoy having a physical book. Sometimes it's easier for me to bust out my iPad and refer to stuff that way. But, here's the funny thing. As far as role-playing games go, I tend to find I have an easier time with the adventure on an iPad and the rules in an actual book. I don't know what it is. But anyway, so Glenn says his kids like to play, as well as himself, with the End of the World series. That's cool. I mean, I didn't hate it. I was like, I thought compared to stuff like All Flesh Must Be Eaten and some other, like even the first Outbreak, Undead, I thought it was kind of weak. But I do understand that people like the whole playing as yourself character kind of thing. I get that. That's from all the way back in Villains and Vigilantes. I think it wasn't Villains and Vigilantes, the game, the superhero game that were your characters. You actually you could have I'm whoever, and then I was exposed to gamma rays, and Jeff got exposed to gamma rays. So you'd actually kind of come up with your own personal stats of, you in real life. Yeah. I like superhero role-playing games. I think they're very difficult to run. I think they're very, very difficult to run. But that just might be me. It could be that way. Other thing I was going to point out, I was going to shoot some video. I actually started shooting some video this weekend for different stuff. And I was utilizing that new preamp. And it was the reason why I went back is not only did I get the hum, I was getting some popping and crackling, some not a lot of distortion, but little pops and crackles, which is usually a sign that the signal's too hot, signal's too high, too much power behind it. But there was nothing I could do to back it off. So it's like, okay. So all that video is no good because the audio is crap. Anyway, that is it for tonight's show. Did about an hour. Hung out, did about an hour tonight. So, and we had a pretty good chat kicking. Anyway, do want to point out, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. If you do, ring that notification bell, because it will notify you not only when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursdays here on YouTube, it'll also inform you when I upload standalone videos as well. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, please visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and more. In fact, we have a brand new review from Sammy. Yes, I was wondering if Sammy was still doing reviews.